When I was 16, my parents told me that if I planted vegetables in our small urban backyard, they would buy the vegetables from me. I was excited to make additional pocket money. I don't know how many of you have actually tried to grow your own food from seed, though. It's a lot more complicated than one would think. I was overwhelmed when having to choose the correct seed and fertilizer for the area I was in and the month I wanted to plant. I soon became very angry that I needed to buy so much seed. Those seemingly small packets have a whole lot of seed in them, way more seed than I actually had space available to plant. And there I was, sitting in the middle of the dirt with a tape measure between my knees, trying to get the seed to stay in the ground as per the instruction. I felt like I needed an additional pair of hands. I went inside and I asked Maggie, my nanny, to come and help me. It was in Maggie's apprehension to help that she started to relay her own planting experience to me. It wasn't dissimilar to mine, but Maggie had faced challenges that I hadn't. Maggie couldn't read the instructions on the back of the seed packet, so she ended up sprinkling the seed, patting it down, and hoping for the best. Where Maggie lived, there wasn't access to piped water. She had to walk and collect it and carry it back in a bucket. She now had to take this precious resource and put it on a bare patch of earth in the hope that it was touching a seed. Maggie did this, and when small shoots began to emerge, she became really excited. She carried on nurturing them and spending her time and water on it, only to realize weeks later that what she had been nurturing were in fact weeds and not the food that she had desired. Maggie said the entire process made her feel defeated, made her feel like she didn't have enough educational resources needed to successfully grow her own food. I was on day one of my planting journey. I too felt defeated. It was in that moment that I decided I wanted to come up with a way that would make planting simple, effective, but most importantly, fun for both Maggie and myself. You came in today and you had a seed tape on your seats. Pick it up. Let me explain to you how real gardening works. Real gardening places the seed and the correct nutrients for that crop in a biodegradable, color-coded paper tape. The seed is correctly spaced, and to plant it, you place it vertically in the soil so that the colored portion is visible above. That places your seed at the correct depth. There's a break in color above the seed that shows you exactly where to water. That will also show you where your plants are going to come out. This is supposed to play. Can we play the video? Perfect. So the seeds will pop up out of the paper, correctly spaced. The paper will slowly biodegrade and create more nutrients in the soil while keeping the water close to the roots. Real gardening hosts a variety of benefits. The water saving is one. It protects the seed from birds, from pests such as cutworm. It differentiates where your plant's going to come up and shows you exactly where to water. It stops the water traveling the seed to the lowest point of the garden. But the most exciting bit that we're happy about is the fact that it makes planting fun. It entices our generation that has lost contact with the soil and in turn their food to connect with the soil and to grow their own. The first challenge I faced as a social entrepreneur was understanding how to create impact, not only in when my product is used, but also in when my product is manufactured. I created a really simple machine, and we've been able to hire previously unemployed single moms to manufacture our product. This is our workshop in Johannesburg, and that's Dorcas on one of our machines. Dorcas is able to produce 1.5 kilometers of seed tape a day. The beauty of the model is the more seed tape we have to sell, the more moms we get to employ. The second challenge I faced was understanding that the person I wanted to serve the most the child-headed household in the school at the base of the pyramid, was living in a hand-to-mouth situation and was unable to afford my product. Through working with the Securing Water for Food Grand Challenge, I was able to adapt my business model to focus on selling our product to the people that could afford it and enabling us to donate our product to those that can't. To date, we've been able to implement more than 3,000 school and community gardens across South Africa. We've been able to do this by leveraging our Give One through corporate social investment funds and grants. We started to talk extensively with the teachers at these schools and asked them how better we could serve them. The feedback we got was that they wanted smaller gardens that could be placed anywhere in the school, and gardens that they could use as a teaching tool with not only a focus on food security, but a focus on teaching the next generation to get excited about growing in their own households. We developed the Grow Pod in response to this. The Grow Pod can be placed on any surface and filled with any kind of soil. It's packed according to the month and the season of planting, and it's extremely effective. We then worked with educational experts to develop a teacher's guide and a set of worksheets that link the Grow Pod to the curriculum, enabling the teacher and empowering the teacher to be able to teach using the Grow Pod. We've implemented this in over 2,300 schools across South Africa, and the requests are rolling in from more schools who want to do the same. When we started Real Gardening 5 years ago, we realized that we needed to do a training program in the schools to enable people to understand how to look after the garden. We have an extensive training program and a network of trainers based across the country. The training program runs over 4 months, and the training happens once a month for those 4 months. While the training has been very well received, what we started to realize was that when people went to go and use the knowledge in their garden after the training, be it days or weeks later, they became flustered with exactly what their garden needed then. Even though we gave a workbook over and a guide with the training, people still found it difficult to understand exactly what they needed to do. And what happens is if someone starts to get flustered or confused, they start to retreat from their garden, and that leads to the gardens failing. We turned to technology, and we created an app called the Planting Revolution. You put in the app exactly what you've planted on that day, the 5 vegetables that you've got in your garden in a box, and it will populate your planting journey according to exactly what you planted, and it will tell you each day exactly what you need to do in your garden according to what you've planted. We pride ourselves in the fact that to reach success, you only need to spend 5 minutes or less in your garden each day. The app even populates your calendar and reminds you to water. We do know that many of the areas we work in have difficulty accessing data. We partnered with Virgin Mobile in South Africa, and the app links to the Virgin Mobile network. We've got a gamification of points aspect, that the more you look after your garden, the more points you receive, and these points in turn become more data. You actually receive far more data than you need to look after your garden during that period. Real Gardening as a social enterprise realizes that in order to scale, we need to increase our sales, and we need to look outside of our borders to do this. We have looked at we are fortunate enough to be collaborating with what we feel is one of the most effective sales forces in the United States. But a sales force that also shares our vision and our value. I would like you all to welcome Vale to the stage. Vale is in her 5th year of the Girl Scouts, and she is proud, as well as I am, that through this collaboration, we're able to make the Garden in a Box available for purchase and delivery throughout North America via the Girl Scouts online store. The wonderful thing about this collaboration is the more products we're able to sell, the more gardens we're able to implement and get growing in America, the more gardens we're able to deliver within South Africa. Thank you very much. She's just amazing, so full of energy. So I would like to ask you all to join the planting revolution, to take the small seed tape you have today, go home, find a sunny spot, plant it, ignite that joy of growth. And when you're ready, expand your garden. Go to thegirlscouts.org, buy a garden in a box, and know that in doing so, you're enabling us to give the gift of growing to schools and communities across South Africa. Thank you.